Okay. Hi, Joy. How are you?
Hi, I'm great. Thank you so much for having me on your podcast.
Well, thank you for coming on. It's nice to see you. Nice to have you with us. Happy New Year.
Happy New Year. Yeah.
So, according to your bio, you're 26 years old and you live in Spain, but you're originally from the Netherlands. So, you're Dutch, but you live in Spain?
Yeah, true. I love Spain. I love the weather here, and I just love the culture, and it's so much different than Holland. And Holland is really cold, and I'm actually from the north of the Netherlands. It's called Friesland. And it's also actually much colder than the rest of the Netherlands. And they speak another language than the Dutch language. Actually, they speak the Frisian language, and it's really related to the Old English language actually. And yeah, I always loved Spain. I went on holidays, and once I become an entrepreneur, and once I got the opportunity to work from my laptop, I decided to move to Spain. And now I live at the beach, so that was always my dream. So I'm actually, yeah, really thankful for that.
Well, I'm happy for you. How's the cost of living in Spain? I heard it's fairly cheap.
Yeah, it's much cheaper actually, and the thing is, the salary is also lower here, but yeah, if you still have your business here, then it's perfect. So yeah,
Do you speak Spanish?
I'm learning, but yeah, I have to practice more. But I'm starting to do conversations right now, and I do understand something. So yeah, it's going in the right direction.
Okay. You said you lived on the beach, so you're on the south, on the Mediterranean?
Yeah, yeah. I live in Malaga, Torremolinos, it's called. Did you ever been in Spain?
No, I haven't, but it's one place that I do want to go. So the weather down there is fairly mild in the winter, right? You don't get snow and
No, it's actually 18 degrees right now. It's perfect. Yeah, it's still a little bit cold. It's not summer weather, but yeah, it's still better than the Netherlands. In the Netherlands, I think it's now 5 degrees. So
yeah,
yeah,
it's a big difference. Yeah, 18 is much more comfortable, I think.
yeah, true.
Okay. How do you know Jason Williams?
Oh, that's a funny story actually. One of our friends, he was coming to Spain, and I met him here. And he really likes to have like deep conversations about life, and one day he said to me, "Why not start your own podcast?" And I was like, yeah, why do I start a podcast? Who wants to listen to me, right? And I love to talk about spirituality, for example, or mindset or business, but I was not really into getting my own podcast. So the friends of Justin told me, just start, it's never the right moment. So yeah, Justin actually coached me through the whole process, and he gave me some tips. And yeah, I just put my first episode out, and now I actually got a lot of guests on my podcast too. So I'm really excited about that. And yeah, the podcast is about embracing who you are and being unapologetically you. And that's always been a topic in my life. I used to be really insecure about myself, and I'm really high sensitive, so I'm overwhelmed really quick. So yeah, I really learned how to accept myself actually. And so the podcast is about embracing your uniqueness. So yeah, it's amazing to have all these guests on my podcast, and yeah, it's I'm learning a lot.
We'll get back to your podcast in a second. I'm curious, what do you do for work? I assume you're not making a living on the podcast because most
No,
people are
not
not.
yet. Maybe one day, but I'm doing social media marketing, so I do advertising for companies. And I do that especially for the automotive industry. And before I did that, I worked in a restaurant, and I was also working in the fashion industry. But I was never really happy in this industry because, yeah, it's so different. People are, I think, more, how do I say? It's a more like fake mentality and more like ego-driven people. And I didn't really feel working in this industry anymore. So I decided to look what really fits me, right? So I was working in a restaurant, and on the side I was learning something that I can do online. So I was doing some courses about marketing, and I just decided to start my own social media agency. And there was a lot of ups and downs and a lot of bluffing in the beginning. But yeah, in the end of the day, I'm really happy that where I am now, I can just live in Spain and with my laptop, and yeah, it's really nice. Yeah.
You said for the automotive industry is your primary customer, clients, yeah?
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh,
True.
okay. All right, great. Let's go back to your podcast for a second. So you said you just put up your first episode. Give me a little idea of what it's like. How long do you run the podcast, and do you video them, or is it audio only?
Yeah, it's now only audio, but I really like to have everything really nice before I put also the video out. So first I want to buy a nice camera and that kind of stuff. So first I have only audio, and I just put them on Spotify and Apple Podcasts, for example, and I also put it on YouTube. And I actually got now already 10 episodes, and I'm already fully booked for the next month because, yeah, I just decided to reach out to a lot of people that I find interesting, and they were all really excited to come on my podcast. So yeah, that's really nice. So actually, I post every Friday. I think for America it's 6 in the morning, and for Europe, where I am now, is 12 a.m. So yeah, on every Friday there's a new episode.
Let's talk a little bit about social media marketing for podcasts, because it's something that we have looked at and have been kind of frustrated about.
Yeah.
Are you doing your own advertising for your podcasts?
Yeah, I'm gonna start, I think, the end of this month with advertising. And I think one platform is really important, and that is TikTok. And everybody thinks it's all about making dances, or maybe it's only for kids, but I think it's a really popular account platform right now that you can use to promote your podcast, and also to build a personal brand, because I think before they can listen to you, you have to build their trust. So I think it's also really good to post organic videos. For example, for me, it's really important to post about spirituality and mindset. And on the side, I can always do advertising with a link to my podcast. So yeah, that's gonna be my strategy for I think January.
Okay, we haven't really tried TikTok. Well, I take that back. We did sort of try it, but when we put advertisements for the podcast on it, we got no response. But if I put up a 1 minute video of my dogs, I got all kinds of response. So it didn't seem to work for us for a podcast. What would you put up to advertise your podcast? Like a clip from the show or something?
I will not do that. I will put more like a personal video, and maybe with a call to action to your podcast. So maybe you can tell a little bit more about your podcast, or maybe you can give, for example, for me, if I talk about spirituality, maybe I can explain about chakras, for example, and I just put my link underneath underneath the video, so people are still engaged with the subject. So if they're interested, they still can go to the podcast. But if you just put only for example, a clip of an episode, I don't think that's really interesting.
Do you do your
Yeah,
podcasts in English?
yeah.
Okay.
That's also a challenge for me sometimes, um, but I'm doing it anyway because I want to reach more people, and I was really interested in to invite American guests too. So yeah, that was actually yeah, my intention. Yeah.
Are most of the guests that you've had on now, are they American or British or?
Yeah, all American, but only to more from the UK actually. But yeah, mostly American. Yeah, yeah,
And you said basically the topics are spirituality. Spirituality is a big topic. How do you how do you speak on that? Because you could go off in so many different directions.
yeah, yeah. It's true. What I always do when I invite a guest is I ask them some talking points, and sometimes it's about aliens, for example. Or sometimes it's about near-death experiences. It's really diverse. So yeah, it depends on the guest, and sometimes it's about the book they wrote. So yeah, it's really depending on the guest, but I got a really diverse guest list, so it's really exciting. It's from a narcissist expert to a trauma expert, so yeah, it's everything.
Well, we've got just about 1 minute left, so I want to make sure that people know where you are. Your podcast is called Unapologetically Joy. That's a big word. Uh, and what is your website? Can you give that out?
I don't have a website yet,
Okay.
but you can just go to Spotify and just go to Unapologetically Joy. And if you can please press the follow button, it's really good for my engagement because I'm just starting. So that will be really nice. And also on Apple Podcasts, you can follow me, and also on YouTube, of course.
Okay. Which one is your primary site on
Spotify, yeah.
Spotify? Okay. All right. Great. Well, thank you so much for coming on the show. It was nice meeting you and talking to you. And best of luck with the podcast. I hope it does well.
Thank you so much. Same to you.